Hello, hello, and welcome to C3Arts Radio. This is your loyal host coming to you live and direct from City College, New York. Of course, the college on the hill. And we are the broadcast arm of the City College Center for the Arts. And of course, I'm joined here by my right-hand man here, Mr. Winston Brewington. How you doing today, Winston?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, man. Hey, man, great job. You held down the fort last week. That was fantastic.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. I'm glad that we got a chance to, work together on a little different capacity. Yeah.
So for those of you who were tuning in last week, of course, Winston held the crown down for us here at C3Arts Radio. Very, very much muy apreciado. I called in from California, and we'll have to get into talking a little bit about that trip at a later date. We have a very busy show for you lined up today, right? We have a very special guest today, and I'm going to leave you in a little suspense about that for a little bit. So first of all, what we're going to do, because as the broadcast arm of the City College Center for the Arts, it is our duty to make sure that you are aware and up to date on what is going on with the City College Center for the Arts and at Aaron Davis Hall. Now, very interesting thing here. You know that you can catch us every Tuesday, right? Right here, 5 to 6 p.m., WHCR 90.3 FM, right here, right? The voice of Harlem. You can also catch us online, WHCR.org, and also tunein.com. That's WHCR-FM. Now, on to the business. We got a lot going on here at City College. I think I say that quite a bit, and rightfully so. We are the largest performing arts facility north of Lincoln Center. So we should have a lot going on, and we should have great attendance at all our productions, because all our productions are fantastic. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about here. So a couple of things that are coming up here at Aaron Davis Hall. First of all, the Manhattan School of Music is doing a concert series in conjunction with City College Center for the Arts, and it's being held, and many of the events are being held here at Aaron Davis Hall. Now, one of these such events is coming up Wednesday, November 15th at 7:30 p.m. Right here at Aaron Davis Hall, we're going to have the MSM Come to Harlem series featuring the Manhattan School of Music Afro-Cuban Jazz Orchestra. Yeah, we're talking about that jazz orchestra that has Bobby Sanabria as the music director and conductor. Yeah, serious business, right? Serious business. And he's going to be going over new works for the Latin Jazz Orchestra, and it's going to all take place Wednesday at Aaron Davis Hall, November 15th, 7:30 p.m. Got to be there for that. Bobby Sanabria, he's doing fantastic things with the Manhattan School of Music, and we're bringing out. It's traveling. All right, so come check it out. Again, that's the MSM Come to Harlem, featuring the Manhattan School of Music Afro-Cuban Jazz Orchestra, of course, directed by Bobby Sanabria. So that's Wednesday, November 15th. Now, Thursday, November 16th, we have the annual Lakes and Hughes Festival here at City College. Yeah. Now, a little bit about what it does. Now, the Lakes and Hughes Festival gives out its award every year to one of the great, highly distinguished writers from throughout the African-American diaspora. And it comes from all genres: poetry, fiction, drama, autobiography, critical essay. Just to give you an idea of how serious this award is, some of the past people who have received it have been James Baldwin, Gwendolyn Brooks, Toni Morrison, August Wilson, Wole Soyinka, Derek Walcott, Octavia Butler, Edwidge Danticat, and this year we add Zadie Smith. Right, yeah. Perhaps maybe the most decorated writer of this century. I don't know. Winston, what do you think? You think Zadie Smith might be the most decorated writer of the 21st century so far?
I definitely think so, yes. I agree with that.
She's up there.
She is up there. That, absolutely.
Right. So we're very honored to be honoring Zadie Smith this year at the Lakes of Hughes Festival. It's going to take place Thursday, November 16th at Aaron Davis Hall. Now, it's going to be broken up into two sections. First, we have the 12:30 p.m. symposium on the work of Zadie Smith. And then at 6:30, there will be the awards ceremony, where Zadie herself is going to do a reading. She's going to be in conversation with City College professor Emily Robital. And there'll be the presentation by Jacqueline Woodson, as well as some musical entertainment. I mean, how can you beat it? So please come out and celebrate with us the work of Zadie Smith. Now, that Saturday, November 18th, right? At Aaron Davis Hall, there will be the Bobby Lewis Ensemble. It is their 20th anniversary concert. So that's 20 years of delivering the word. You know you got to get your tickets to this early because of their following, huge following. Tickets will go fast. So please make sure that you check us out. And for all of this, you know you can go to citycollegecenterforthearts.org for more information, or the pertinent information, right, on how you get tickets. That's the pertinent information.
Absolutely.
And while you're there, also, please remember that we still have our visual art exhibition, Void of Death, is still up. It's going to be up until November 27th. Of course, I'm talking about the solo show by the Atlanta-based artist Julio Mejia. It was curated by Susan Luss. If you remember the show that we had a great show with them right here on C3Arts Radio. You could go by the Aaron Davis Hall Gallery Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. See, I told you there's a lot going on here, man.
Yeah, busy. I'll be in a lot of great stuff to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. Please remember, go to citycollegecenterforthearts.org for more information. You can also hit us up here at C3Arts Radio. We'll give you the info. You can check us out on Twitter at C3Arts Radio, on Instagram at C3Arts Radio, Facebook C3Arts Radio, and then of course C3ArtsRadio.com. See, we got you covering all the bases, right? Okay. So we're going to get back with you, and then we're going to tell you a little bit about our special guest today. Yeah, I think you're going to enjoy this. Absolutely. As always, we are C3Arts Radio, your place for arts advocacy. And as such, I do have to, before we go to our little break here, play some music for you, I do have to make sure that you know that Wednesday, November 1st is Literacy Across Harlem Day. Okay? So please join in. It's going to be a lot of different ways to participate. Join us. C3Arts Radio. We'll be right back.
I love you, but I gotta be on my way now, 'cause my selfish gene must go on. 'Cause my selfish gene must go on. Oh, 'cause my selfish gene must go on. 'Cause my selfish gene must go
C3Arts Radio. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We are always, always back. Of course, we are the broadcast arm of the City College Center for the Arts. And we're live and direct on this Halloween evening. Yeah. Get your ghouls, your ghosts, your goblins, dragons. I'm talking about the kids, right? Okay.
Well, you're not dressing up, Philip?
I did actually. I dressed up for a party in LA the other night.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It was ad hoc uniform, so I just went as Malcolm X. It was easy.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool.
It was easy.
Okay, cool.
Now, I was telling you about our special guest today, and let's say, just to give you a little warm up on what we're talking about. Now, he first kind of burst on the scene back in 1992, and he, first of all, foreshadowed a couple of things about that we got to learn about him. Is that he would show up in very iconic projects. He seems to have a knack for it. And in this particular one, of course, I'm talking about Juice. Now, Winston, you're quite a bit younger than me. So is Juice as much of an iconic program for you as it is for our generation?
Absolutely. I love that movie.
Yeah. And in the film Juice, there was this little known guy named Tupac, and he in the film, he plays this character that goes out of control. Now, the only person who can somewhat keep him in check and somewhat plays a tragic figure in that film, of course, is our guest today, Khalil Kain, who, as Raheem, kind of changes the whole trajectory of the film once he is killed by the lead character, Bishop, of course. And Khalil Kain took this role, iconic. People to this day, I know, still stop him on the street, wherever he is, to talk about this, but that wouldn't be the only thing. He's also been in iconic roles in Love Jones, of course. Also played Tiger Woods in the Tiger Woods story, right? Was a longtime character on Girlfriends, and then also in the soon-to-be iconic film For Colored Girls. And this is just a smattering of all the roles and projects he's done. And one thing, very, very proud to sit on the board of directors of the City College Center for the Arts with this man. Of course, I'm talking about Khalil Kain. How you doing today, Khalil?
I am well. Harlem, what's happening? How y'all doing?
Welcome the man to Harlem, man. And we were talking off air, and Khalil went into the student radio station here instead of WHCR here at City College, and got quite a welcome from what I understand.
Yeah, shout out to WCCR. Yeah, I went to the wrong room, man.
But all the students in there are quite excited, though.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
All the students in there are quite excited. So I want to thank you to C3Arts Radio. Of course, we've talked a lot about the program through our board duties, Khalil. So we're very honored to have you here joining Winston and I here in the studio today.
Where's Tony?
Yeah, Tony couldn't come today. I
was looking forward to seeing her pretty face. Where's Tony Ty at?
Because our co-host, Tony the Tiger, Ty Starrett, of course, she will be returning soon. Mm-hmm. She's working on her film project.
Yeah. She ain't hooked me up with that either. Look at that. I'm going to have a talk with that lady.
Tony, if you're listening, you're hearing it.
Yo,
right?
What's up?
You're hearing it. You're hearing
I'll
it right
let your
now.
boy.
What's
this film project you're talking about?
Now, Khalil, I want to jump back a little bit because I don't think people know as much about your background as they probably could. Now, of course, you are the son of the famous, legendary last poet, Gillen Kane.
Yeah, Khalil Kain.
Khalil Kain, excuse
Yeah,
me.
it's all
excuse
good.
Me, excuse me.
The original Last Poets.
The original Last
Yeah,
Poets.
OLP.
Absolutely. Now, you grew up on the Lower East Side?
Yes.
I think it's fascinating. Can you take us back to New York at that time? Because you really kind of grew up during what we might call the kind of heyday of the Black Arts movement. And as the son of Khalil Kain. And take us back to growing up on the Lower East Side during this time period.
Well, it's interesting, man. Like doing a film like for Colored Girls. For Colored Girls was at the Public Theater. And my mother and all the other young ladies on the block that helped raise me were very familiar with this play. My mother was friends with Enzizaki. Enzizaki actually was in like a poetry workshop that my father was running.
Okay.
So like we kind of go back, and that was the first thing my mother said to me. You know, you better not mess this up. You know, I don't know. We'll see what the word is on that. But you know, it was a different time.
Yeah,
New York was a different place back then.
Absolutely.
My neighborhood back then was Black, Puerto Rican, and Ukrainian mostly.
Right.
My best friend Bobby Walsh at the time was Irish and Italian. My big brother on the block, Billy Molina, was Puerto Rican. Like, you're talking about a definitive mixture of people coming from all over. People were from down south. People were from the islands. You know, and on my block alone, I mean, it's Little India now. So there were the Indian people there. They had opened up a few restaurants. I'm really proud of my childhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how much culture was just on that one block alone. You know, and everybody was kind of cool and looked out for everybody's kids and spoke to each other. And everybody was doing their thing. They were playing music. They were writing poetry, you know, theater projects, all kind of interesting things. But all of the art was based in sort of a social, civic-minded kind of vein.
Right.
Whereas now, like, I listen to some of the music and I'm not quite sure where they're coming from.
Right.
You know, like what it is exactly that they're talking about.
Right.
Because if they're talking from a very literal sense, then wow, all right.
Right.
No. But, you know, you never know. You know, I guess I would have to sit down with the artist and chop it up.
Right.
But, you know, I really had an interesting childhood.
Yeah. And it's interesting you say that, because that was the image that I was getting as I was kind of reading and kind of familiarizing myself with your background, is that as this time period, the Black Arts movement is in full swing, the concept of ideology mixed with art, and it was almost a necessary a relationship.
Yeah, but there were actors around. I mean, as a child, Amiri Baraka, people like Enzizaki Shange, Gil Scott Heron would come into the spot. You know, I mean, when we did For Colored Girls, Enzizaki's an old woman now.
Right.
Her health is not great, but we did something at a art gallery in Chelsea, and they did these singular photos of all the women, you know, that were in the film, and then they showed them at this gallery one night. We had a really nice party, and Enzizaki was there with an entourage, so to speak, and people were taking care of her. She was in a wheelchair. And it's funny because I really do. I don't know what my social issues are. I'm a little awkward socially, but I never said anything to anybody in production about me possibly knowing her or the connection to the family.
Wow.
And so when we were at the gallery, somebody from production came over and said, "Khalil, would you like to go say hi to Enzizaki? She's here."
Right.
I said, "I would love to." So I went over, and they said to Enzizaki, "This is Khalil Kain. He's in the movie." And her eyes sort of like squinted, and I said, "Yes, Gylan's son." And her eyes got big. She was like, oh. And this brother that was with her said, "Hey, man, I remember you.
Right.
Felipe Luciano used to carry you around on his shoulders, man. You had this big fro. You used to play the congas. I was like, yeah. He was like, oh, that's crazy.
Wait, so you play the congos? Or something
Yeah,
like that?
man. Back then, I used to sit in, on occasion.
Okay,
Because they had a spot called the East Wind, right up here. And everybody would come through and perform. You had the Young Lords up in there, the Black Panthers up in there.
Right.
Like, it was an interesting childhood.
We can see it.
Yeah.
We can see it. You can see a lot of cross sections of New York history, right?
Yes.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Now, how'd you start steering towards film? Because you were originally going to be a filmmaker or a director, correct? Or did you
I don't
end up
know,
doing that
man.
anyway?
Look,
but
I've led a very fortunate life. Even as a child, I was kind of familiar with the fact that I'm lucky. So I never really had a problem with it. I don't push hard on anything. I'm traveling. I'm walking with the understanding that I'm going to have a good life. So I just kind of do what the universe tells me to do. Every day I wake up, I line it up, I knock it down. But I've never been under any sort of set standard of this is what I'm going to do and this is what my goals are. Every time, I make this concrete plan, it always gets jacked up anyway. So, I'm just kind of flowing with it. I never really was interested in being an actor.
Really?
It was an opportunity that was presented to me and I kind of rolled with it. And once I got involved, I kind of dug it. As I started to move on, I started to realize I'm actually kind of good at it. And I've had an opportunity to work with some really brilliant people, and I was smart enough to just keep my mouth shut and pay attention.
I see. But
Yeah, man.
there does seem to be a discipline there. Now, you're a black belt in Hapkido. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
I'm a third dan in Hapkido.
Yeah, is that right?
It was Los Angeles, man. That's why I'm back in New York. I was in LA for 15, 16 years. And I'm a New Yorker, man, through and through. So during that time in LA, I needed to find something to kind of center me. Because it seems to be like an isolated existence out there.
Yeah.
Like here in New York, you can kind of walk out your house, go out on the street. You're going to bump into somebody. You're going to get
Pedestrian
into
culture
something.
makes all
Yes,
the
exactly.
difference, right?
Whereas in LA, everything was very much planned, and that's just not how I get down. Who's going to the event? Who are you going to drive with? If I'm going to drive myself, I can only have one drink because I don't want to be in a DUI situation. What time does the club close? 1:30. 1:30. What? Yo, it was crazy. So, and the people were funky. So, everything was about business.
Right.
I
some
grew
form
up,
of fashion,
yeah, but
right.
growing up in New York, where at a time when business hours were 9 to 5, I would go out in LA, expecting to have a good time, and everybody was still doing business. I'm like, yo, homie, it's 1:45 in the morning. Call my agent. Like, back up. Do we have to talk business all the time?
Right.
Like all the time?
Right.
No.
And then when it kind of seeps into everything, even if it's not directly talking about business,
man,
it's about business.
it's so like underbelly, malevolent weirdness. I don't know. But the martial arts was really helpful. I bumped into a cat that I knew from New York. We actually lived on the same block on 6th Street between 1st and 2nd. And it turned out I moved into this house in the hills, and his house was around the corner.
Wow.
And I probably hadn't seen him in like 8 years. He was like, I was standing on the porch. He was like, don't tell me that's your house, man. I was like, yo, what's up? So he asked me if I was still practicing because I was practicing karate here in New York. And I said, no, but yeah, I've looked at a couple of spots. I haven't found any place.
Right.
And he said, I got this joint, man. And it was where he was training.
Okay.
So he took me to Songs Hapkido, and I met Grandmaster Ho Jin Sung, this older Korean man, ex-military, South Korea. Really a colorful cat.
Right.
Really cool people. He was like a father figure for me while I was there. The training was fun and hard. And I practiced Hapkido with him 15 years, It gave me something positive to do. When I left, I was like the senior black belt there. I was teaching. It was hip, man. And it kept me out of trouble.
Yeah.
You know, it really did.
Yeah.
It was a nice stress relief, you know, a little, valve that I could turn when I needed to just kind of, get things out. And it really did help my acting process.
Yeah, that's what that was what my question kind of was.
I mean, people don't understand.
How does
man.
it draw from that? It's
You,
not structured.
the pressure sometimes, trying to talk to family about work. If you're testing for a TV show, I would call my mom and be like, "Oh yeah, it's pilot season. I'm testing for this show. Testing? What's testing? What's it?" So they don't really understand. So now I've already signed a contract. I'm going in for the executives from CBS or NBC or whomever, and you walk in this room to audition, and there's 12 executives sitting there,
Right.
and you know that there's 80,000 a week riding on this one audition. It's pressure, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So when you can learn how to breathe correctly, when you can learn how to, slow your heart rate down a little
Center
bit,
yourself, yeah.
when you can look across the table at these high-powered executives and think to yourself, I can kick your ass. I can definitely kick your ass. Like, you can calm down a little bit and do what you need to do.
I hear you. That's funny.
Think I didn't. I would definitely go in the room and be like, I'm cool, I got this. Everything cool.
We're just getting started here. We have Mr. Khalil Kain is in
Yo.
the house with us. We're going to take a little break, go to a little music break, and we'll be back to talk about a few more things. This is C3Arts Radio. Of course, we are the broadcast arm of the City College Center for the Arts right here at WHCR 90.3 FM. We'll be right back.
And the beat goes on.
C3Arts Radio, and we are back. Always back, ladies and gentlemen. We're here with Khalil Kain, of course, my right-hand man, Winston, and we're having a fantastic conversation on Halloween. This is Halloween evening, ladies and gentlemen, right?
Yeah.
But, we're here every Tuesday, Halloween and not Halloween, 5 to 6 p.m. right here at WHCR, 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. Now, Khalil, a few summers back, you directed the production of Sam Shepard's Buried Child at Aaron Davis Hall.
Yes.
It was, I got a chance to see it. It was excellent.
Thank you.
Was that your first production of theater, or have you produced?
I had
directing?
directed some readings and some workshops before that, but that was the first full production that I had directed.
I was wondering at the time because I was like, "This is very professional. This is very."
I know.
It was very tight and well done for a first time.
My fear gene is not there for some reason. I never really get worked up or I don't know, nervous about certain things that other people may find daunting. I like to present a challenge to myself. Taking on Sam Shepard right out the gate.
Yeah. What made you choose a Sam Shepard piece?
I really appreciate him as a playwright, as an artist. I like his career. When you sit back and think, and you're like watching people and seeing how they get down. Like I had an opportunity to work with Gregory Hines on a film called Renaissance Man.
Renaissance Man, right? With Danny DeVito, too.
Yeah, Danny DeVito's cool as a fan, man. Yeah. He was so great to work with. But, I mean, Gregory Hines, at the time, a good friend of mine was married to his daughter. So when she found out Greg and I were going to be working together, she sat me down. And she was like, "Don't let my dad get you in trouble." Gregory Hines was amazing. And after you get to know somebody, then you start to watch them, you know? And I started kind of clocking his career and his moves and his life. And I thought to myself, see, now that's a cool-ass career right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sam Shepard, the same thing. Does a movie here and there, writes a play, wins a Pulitzer. What? Hey, got to do a little stint on Broadway. Does whatever he wants.
Right.
Write a book of poetry. What do you feel like doing? I've never been comfortable feeling boxed in as far as like, well, Khalil Kain does this. No, Khalil Kain does whatever he feel like. When people, the actor, no, the artist. I do other things. I feel like I'm a capable man. I've been around for a while. I've seen a ton. I've done a bunch. And Buried Child spoke to me.
Right.
This is a play written by one of the great American playwrights, God rest his soul. And it spoke about the American family structure. And is that a dream or is that a nightmare? Right. Is that alive or is it dead? Is it thriving or is it rotting? And these are the questions that it posed. And growing up in New York City, in pretty much a single parent home, because Pops was rarely around, and in a black family, like when you talk about the American dream, the American family structure, that was never meant for us. That was something that, we just weren't supposed to have. From day one, that was something that was sort of snatched away from black people in this country.
It's a very partial story, right? It's not. It's
told all over. It's told all over the world, though.
Yeah,
the American family structure.
Right. Absolutely.
3 kids, dog, white picket fence, and you can live in Indiana or Minnesota or wherever
Yeah, and then
Ohio, and it's amazing. It's beautiful.
And it's this small portion of the real American family story.
I think it was never the truth.
Absolutely.
I think this was something that Sam Shepard felt. I think it was something that he was tired of espousing or even tired of listening to. So he wrote a play about it, and it was deep, man.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And then I flipped it because I made the grandson black. You know, and in my mind, it seemed, you know, correct and brilliant that there's an inheritance to be claimed. And yeah, the child is black.
Right.
You know,
and so
where's my stuff? You know, y'all owe me. Where's my stuff?
So that wasn't an example of like we're going to just colorblind cast. It was
Oh no. This was very deliberate,
Yeah.
and I loved it that you know, City College Center of the Arts allowed me to express my creativity.
Absolutely.
I was given free reign, and I love the experience. I'm really looking forward to that next opportunity to direct. And again, I got an opportunity to do this because I asked. But how do you get jobs as a director?
Yeah.
I mean, where's the pamphlet on that? Like, how do you?
It's How do
you get jobs as an actor?
Well,
how do you get an agent? How do you make meatballs? Like, how do you find out this stuff? You do it. If this is something that you really want to do, you just keep hacking away until, you know, it happens.
Well, what was that moment for you when you first, you say that you weren't necessarily looking to be, for example, an actor, or so you knew you were going to be an artist somehow?
Pretty much, yeah.
And
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I really didn't.
So it's a very interesting question, right? So the structure, say like L.A., going to L.A., and then there's this whole kind of structure in L.A., and it's off-putting for a lot of artists, would you say?
Yeah, well, what are you willing to do
Yeah.
to be rich and famous? Or are you an artist and you're just kind of doing your art? I mean, those two things are separate in Los Angeles. Where I feel like more in New York, you can do both. In L.A., I don't think they were really trying to hear any of that.
Right.
And it's like, do you want to work or not? I mean, I got in trouble. I got into quite a bit of trouble for saying no to certain things. Are you familiar with the film American History X? There was a scene where this young brother, he put his teeth on the cement and stomped his head. I was offered that role.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was like, nah, I'm good. Like, I was like, nah, and I liked the script. And at the time, Ed Norton was really starting to blow up. And they were like, this guy's going to be a movie star. This is going to be a really big film. And I was like, I think so, too. This looks really dope. But you're not busting my teeth on the cement,
that was one of the most
pavement.
brutal scenes I've ever watched.
But again, you're talking about a role that portrays a young black male in a specific light. And what was going on, it was excessive, what happened to him. But he was in the middle of committing a crime. So it also made it sort of like he got what he deserved, sort of.
Open to interpretation.
Very much so. Yeah. But also colored in a very specific light. Not something that I was looking forward to portraying or felt comfortable walking around with in perpetuity. Because this is what happens when you perform these roles on film. I mean, 25 years later, I walk down the street and people still hollering out Raheem. So, like, this is stuff that I think, especially actors of color, need to take into account before they just jump into something.
Yeah.
You know, because Hollywood likes to keep you where they put you once they place you somewhere. And I don't know, it was off-putting for me.
It was told one time, my mother used to always say to me, people don't like to have to change their minds about you. Yeah, and they almost take that as an offense if they feel like they have to recalibrate.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because I'm constantly forcing people to do that about me. Maybe that's why people think I'm annoying. They're like, here he comes again.
You know, I had one question for you, Khalil, and I think you pretty much answered it in a pretty direct way, actually. And it was the question about how you have been a part of these iconic productions. I mean, these things, like, say, people still say Raheem, people still talk about, I mean, people will be for the foreseeable future. And
the Schomburg just did a 25th anniversary screening of Juice and put it in the archive, like, officially. So Juice is officially part of the culture now.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
moving forward, you can go to any library, you know, and it's there. You know, that meant a lot to me.
Well, there'll be a few more projects that you've been in. We'll be following Juice, I can assure you.
That'd be cool. I gotta tell you, man. Going back to Berry Child, when you and your wife came, and enjoyed the production, it's very flattering. I mean, you guys know what you're talking about. You know, the very influential in the industry. So it was cool. I was excited that you guys came. And I was proud of the piece.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I know Aaliyah is listening, so I'm sure she's smiling
Thank you.
now. She better be listening. No, I'm just kidding.
That was really cool.
I'm just kidding. So what's next, Khalil? What's coming
wow.
up for you?
I am just about done with a screenplay, a film, something called Bulletproof Summer. That I think is going to be fun. I have a play called Lambs to Slaughter that I'm hoping is going to be at La Mama next season.
Okay.
That play, I've been workshopping for a minute. There's a lot of poetry in the piece. So there's a cat named Tomas Donker that did music for me on a workshop of this piece, and so, you know, it was a good collaboration. So I asked him to come in and help me with the music for this play Lambs to Slaughter that I wrote for the poetry pieces. In working on it, Tomas kind of really dug it. He was like, "Yo, man, why don't you come into the studio and record these?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Come in. I'll get the band together. Let's just do one and see, you know, what it does." And
it does.
Yeah, it does. So they perform. It's Tomas Donker and the True Groove All Stars. They just did the Mondo Festival.
Okay.
This was like a couple of weeks back. So they invited me to come down. I performed on Saturday and Sunday. You know, on Saturday I did one song in the middle of their set. On Sunday I did two.
Wow. Okay.
I think we're gonna release an EP in December.
Okay, fantastic.
You know, I've been writing some poetry and performing some poetry. I performed live in the city now 5 times, and that's been different.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to be in a theater production and be on stage, you know, or even do something like Girlfriends where we're performing in front of a live audience, you know, which was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
I miss those girls, man. That was a great job.
It's a great assemblage of talent there.
Yeah, man.
It's fantastic to see how.
That was a fun
when
show.
You get that.
It was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting on the mic and performing some poetry in front of a live audience was interesting. And I think Tomas like tossed me into the fire just to kind of see how I was going to do.
Right.
Because even from my experience, somebody could be really hot in the studio.
Right.
You know, you put them on the stage in front of a live audience and
It's a whole different story.
yeah, it's a different animal, man.
Yeah.
You know, when the lights come on, though, I kind of dig it. You know, I'm not the type of person that's gonna be on all the time. You know, I can go to a party and kind of sit in the corner easily, but I really don't. I'm not attention hungry. And having to be around actors a lot because of what I do, there are a lot of actors that just love attention, man. Like they have to have the spotlight on them.
Attention. Wow. It really, it drives the world around, in a lot of ways. People will go to any length for attention.
I'm a hider, man. I be hiding. I'm like, yeah, hi, hey, how you doing? I tend to be polite. Because I don't want my mama to get mad. I mean, this was something that I was raised with.
Right.
Don't do anything that's going to embarrass your family.
Right.
And that's always been something that's in the back of my mind. My mother had me really young, so we're super tight. And, like, I do, you know, because we all get, you know, temptation is crazy, especially being out in L.A. And I remember there's an actor friend of mine, and I'm not going to mention his name because he's my people, but he got busted in a car full of drugs. And my mother called me that day. She was like, "What is going on? How's he doing?" I said, "Ma, I don't know." You know, she said, "I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad I ain't had to read nothing like this about you."
Right.
I was like, "Thank you, Ma."
Right.
She's like, "I better not read nothing like this." I'm on it. I got you. It's all good. I'm chilling. Yeah.
It was a compliment and a warning at the same time.
Yeah, my mom is a trip, man. I love that lady. But yeah, I'm digging the live performance, and I'm even enjoying doing the poetry because it's something that my father did. It was always something that I shied away from. Again, this was not something that was planned. It happened organically, and you know, I'm just rolling with it.
That's very interesting. You see that in a number of cases. I was looking at an interview with Denzel Washington's son, and he talked about how he ran from acting. Not ran, you know, literally, but kind of, you know, moved himself away from acting because he didn't want to follow in that footsteps, but it drew him in the end. And so now, you know, he's in the arena. I
mean, it's that way. You can't force anything to happen, but you also cannot deny the universe because it will call to you, and it will call to you, and it will call to you. When a door opens, I generally just walk through it. Right. You know, I don't feel like, you know, I would show up at places alone, and it's funny because people are like, "You're here by yourself? Like, you know, where's your security with you?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? Ain't nobody looking for me. I'm good." Like, these people love me. You know, like,
where's your security?
Yeah. You know, hey, I did a film called Bones, this horror flick
with Snoop Dogg,
and Ernest Dickerson directed that
Ernest
too.
Dickerson, yeah.
But Snoop, that was the time when Snoop was going through something with Suge.
Okay.
And Snoop had armed security with him, 2 armed security guards with him 24/7 on the set all the time, at the hotel, at the club. We would go to hang out, go to dinner. They're sitting right there, like, and we got into a little beef because, you know, Snoop also had his friends there, and there was this little rumor going around the set that, like, Khalil was stuck up because I didn't want to hang out no more. I'm like, yo, if there's armed security, I don't want to be there. And the cats that show up, you know, no. If there's dudes with guns around, like, I'm good. Like, I don't need to, you know, I just want to get a slice. You know, about my business, man. I'm not. Yeah. So, but I couldn't even imagine like living like that on a regular basis. Like, I look at Snoop now, and I'm like, that's crazy. The evolution, you know, and the growth. Yeah. And just sort of growing up.
He had the opportunity to come out the other side. Yeah.
Hey, and God bless him for that, because we know so many that never got that opportunity. Yeah. You know, I mean, I love Tupac. Tupac was amazing. I think about it a lot. Just the question of what would he be doing right now if he were still alive, you know? Yeah. I mean, I doubt highly that he would still be rhyming, you know? I think he would be doing greater work. There was an actor, young man, Siddiqui Fofana, that I was really fond of, that just passed away, 25, complications with sickle cell. Yeah. This beautiful actor. My play, Lambs to Slaughter, I met him. We were doing a reading of that at the Cell, the theater on 23rd Street, and Siddiqui came in and killed it. And, you know, he came highly recommended. You know, they were like, yeah, you know, this kid is cool. You know, I think you're really gonna like him. And I met him, and he was just a beautiful young man. I was really expecting something from him. Wow. And when he passed away suddenly,
25 years old.
Yeah, man. Sad. But you know, you just think about it. Like, no, he did not have an opportunity to come out the other side, and that's tragic. Yeah. I mean, my first cousin, Dorian Lum, was murdered down on the Lower East Side. That was a big thing as far as hipping me to the fact that this is what I do, that I'm going to be an actor, because I was doing that film, Renaissance Man. Penny Marshall directed it, Danny DeVito, Gregory Hines. My brother called me, told me that D got shot 3 times in the back, running away, by a kid that we knew. I needed to go home, to bury my fam.
Yeah.
And Penny Marshall told me, we're on a set schedule, and like, I can't really let you go right now. You can't go home. She said, and to be quite honest, I mean, you're a grown-ass man. If you decide to leave, there's really nothing we can do. But I can't let you leave. Like, sorry. So I had to make a choice. Like, am I going to go home and bury my cousin, or am I going to be about my business? And I ended up staying and doing the film. And that was really probably the moment I realized, like, I'm a professional actor. Like, this is what I do. Yeah. And then I paid for a ticket to get my brother to come to LA, because I did not want him looking for the kid that shot my cousin.
Right.
Because that was the next thing he told me on the phone.
Right.
I'm gonna find this one. I was like, no. You need to come here and sit in the sun and chill out. Lost one, don't need to lose two.
Wow, Khalil. And on that note, I wish we could talk some more.
I feel like this could go on for...
the first time we had you up here. We had you up here at the studio.
Yeah, man.
Always. It's Khalil Kain, ladies and gentlemen. And we're grateful. But I hope we get you up here soon again.
Right on, man. Harlem stand up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. C3Arts Radio. You'll know we'll be back next Tuesday, 5 to 6 p.m. See you then. Bye-bye now.